says anything and everything. Good morning, friends. Greetings for the day. Do hope all are doing great. Few weeks before, we have seen an introduction to IMDS. Rather, we got introduced to the IMDS. Today, let us dive in more depth to understand how to create Material MDS. Historically, we are employing various methods, systems, codes for material identification. These systems typically involve alphanumeric codes to convey specific information about the material. These codes and numbering systems help standardize and communicate information about materials, facilitating proper selection, manufacturing, and quality control processes. Specific systems used depends on the industry, region, type of material required, customer requirement, and collaborators' stipulation, if any. When we have the various systems, codes in place, and are in use since a long and all are familiar with, then why? Why we need IMDS? Simply because none of the other system or present system stipulates about disposal of material and hazardous materials. Why to use IMDS? Vehicle manufacturers has to report on the materials used in the vehicle to satisfy the various legal requirements of the various nations. Moreover, certain nations stipulate the material recyclability and reuse as mandatory requirements. Hence, each manufacturer needs to develop and implement effectively own system to meet requirements. Instead of alone, a group of manufacturers decided to develop a common system to satisfy mandatory requirements throughout the automotive supply chain, and that is IMDS, a new standard for the automotive industry. One need to study IMDS thoroughly. Get accustomed to all terms, definitions, before to use or implementation. This will lead to a stable and effective system in place. Before we see how to create Material MDS, need to be introduced to IMDS. Please watch an introduction to IMDS video. Link provided on screen and also in the description. Let's have a quick look of various MDS types. Corresponding symbols used for better understanding and uniformity are also shown on the screen. Material MDS can be attached to materials, semi-components or components. Semi-component MDS can be attached to semi-components or components. Components MDS can be attached to components. IMDS data structure. Component is a part or complete assembly which makes a complete part. Must have at least one material. Semi-component is same as component except it has to undergo one more process to be a component. Material constituents at least one basic substances or other materials only. Material name should be specific, non-generic, and should be chosen from existing standards. Basic substance are chemical elements or compounds as they exist naturally or produced. Basic substance should always be attached to a material. Basic substances list. Created and maintained by IMDS Chemical Service. Or elementary chemical building block. Basic substance has. Number 1. It has its own specific name. Number 2. Have CAS or chemical abstract number allocated by a division of the American Chemical Society. Number 3. Or have EINEC as European Inventory of Existing Commercial Chemical Substances number. Material data system has tree structure in which each level consists of all the same types. Level 1 and 2 consists of components. Level 3 consists of materials. And Level 4 or bottom-most level consists of basic substances. MDS permits only certain types of children's. Component MDS can have only component or semi-component or materials as childs. Semi-components can have semi-component or materials as childs. Material MDS can have other material or basic substances as childs. Basic substances MDS have no children. Even other basic substances can't be children's. Please note, mixing of different types at the same level is not allowed. A typical MDS tree structure shown on the screen. Mixing of types will generate a warning and hence, this requirement should always be remembered. Material MDS must be created separately. It is strongly suggested to create Material MDS into the system first. For doing this, we have 3 choices. First, use already published Material MDS, but at risk if not entered by IMDS or manufacturer of material. Second, ask supplier to create MDS and send to you. This is the best option. Third, build material tree self and release internally. It's time consuming and also may not have adequate knowledge. Do you have to create a material data sheet? In fact, supplier is expected to create the material MDS and send or propose to customer. An MSDS sheet is neither a MDS nor does contain sufficient information for creating a material MDS. Worth to note, creator of MDS is considered legally responsible for validity of data and hence, better not to create material MDS if not a supplier. Still you need to make or create material MDS. Okay. First verify whether material MDS is already available in IMDS. If material already published to a public norm or standard, then most OEM prefer to use an IMDS committee published material. But how to search for material in the IMDS system? So friends, here are few search tips. But the best guide will be our own experience of searching in the IMDS system. User will have the access to materials his company has created or data that has been published or sent to his company and accepted. Best way to search in system is by IMDS ID. And of course, also make sure of searching at the right place. Useful tips. Was it created by your company or other? If not able to find with current version, try all versions. Use wide searches. For example, search 1010 in the name field for searching SAE1010. A flowchart explaining the process of searching materials is displayed. This chart is self-explanatory, hence no need of any explanation. Better to establish a habit of selecting all choices for origin and versions as all for faster search. If supplier has created the MDS, he may not have given you access for the latest version. Another useful hint for searching is to use various filters. Few of them listed as follows. Filter of creation dates. Filter of supplier MDS and preferred MDS. Preferred MDS are the ones published without warning or published by one of the standard suppliers such as IMDS Committee 423 or 18986 or Stahl and Eisen List 313. Filter of own MDS or modules. Screen explains how to use these. Another filter for MDS search is by supplier. Only accepted or published MDS must be chosen. Enable search by supplier should be checked to activate icon, add remove supplier to list. Images on the screen are self-explanatory. A process flow chart for searching for published material of which ID not known is shown on the screen. Flow chart is self-explanatory. User should not use published material from unknown source. Just because it is published does not mean that it's quality data. Users should use non-IMDS committee materials at their own risk. First step for creating MDS is to decide whether wants to create a MDS or module. A simple flow chart is displayed on the screen. As shown, select datasheet or module and for material. Modules are for the basic building blocks which can be used several times, whereas MDS has limited reuse. In MDS's all three chapters to be filled in, that is, ingredients, supplier data and recipient data. Modules only require ingredients to be defined as the balance are entered when used in an MDS. Modules neither can be sent to customer or get assigned to an organization unit. Modules only have the ingredients, hence cannot be assigned to an organization unit nor sent to a recipient. Information required to complete MDS data entry in the system is as follows. Know a minimum of 90% of the substances in the material. Material classification. Applicable public norms standards. Applicable OEM in-house norms. Applicable material symbols. Any special customer requirements. Recommendation 001 and any other recommendation pertaining to the product. Creator shall be aware of the followings. An MSDS sheet does not contain sufficient information to enter the material. Materials best entered by someone with a chemical or materials background. Report only materials in their final state. Final state does not include gases or liquids. If include liquids or gases in anything apart from 9.x or 7.1, get ready to defend your submission. It is extremely rare to have a material composed of only one substance. If have such a submission, be prepared to defend it. Most materials has same steps except special materials, that is, filled thermoplastics, unfilled thermoplastics, thermoplastic elastomers, elastomers or elastomeric compounds. Assuming already checked to see if the material exists in the system, and as it does not, hence creating material MDS. Refer the image shown on the screen. Select the appropriate material classification and click Apply. Next is supply identification. The material name must define the material and not be a trade name. If applicable, material names need to reflect the existing standards. For example, for steel or iron, EN 10027 or JIS norms. If no standard is applicable, the name must be descriptive such as adhesive layer for adhesives, fatting agent for example for leather. Remember, should not take default name as it is not useful for searching later. Trade name. Standard products, defined in public norms, this entry is not mandatory. If in drawings trade names are predefined, then the entry mandatory. For materials which are not defined in public norms, example, plastic materials, oils, fats, entry is not mandatory but advisable as helps to uniquely identify the product. Caution. Do not enter confidential information here as it will be visible in the supply chain. Internal material number. Number or code you refer identify the material as. For your use only, hence customer should not have any requirement about this field. This entry not mandatory. This is not the same as the standard material number. Preliminary MDS. Check or tick the box if it's a preliminary MDS. Not all materials have a standard material number. Field only for the metals and alloys classifications. Not all metals manufactured as per standard. Therefore, no right answer for this field as different regions uses different numbering systems. However, one of the below two is preferred UNS, Unified Numbering System, Metals and Alloys, and IMDS committee materials entered with this number. Or Japanese Standard, JIS. Norms and Standards. Norms and standards are the public norms as per which material compositions defined. For example, EN, DIN, JIS. Materials included in these norms, an entry is mandatory. Not all materials are manufactured to a public norm. Norms and standards. Click on plus symbol and a search window will appear. Select a norm first. Norm code needs to be entered. Then click Add. In-house norms added the same way but additional pull-down menu will appear after selecting the company. Norms and standards. In-house norms are only visible to the MDS creating company and the OEM whose norm they are. All others in the supply chain will not see them. Suppliers who copy instead of reference the MDS also will not know that a material made to an OEM norm. Material supplier. Enter your supplier information as required. Click on Save. Many suppliers do not want to disclose their suppliers. Hence, check with customer to see if this is a requirement. Remark. Enter remarks, if any. Click on Save. Good use of this field is for weight information, example, 2 grams per cm. Add materials or basic substances based on requirement. Add material. Your defined materials. Materials that have been published. Materials sent to and accepted by your company. Add basic substance. Substance having CAS or chemical abstracts service number. Pseudo substance or joker wildcard. Welcome to my channel. MK's anything and everything. Please subscribe, like and share the video. Click bell icon. Only substances present on the vehicle at its end of life are to be included in the ingredients. The same logic followed for the GADSL list, Global Automotive Declarable Substance List. Processing chemicals not listed on the GADSL even though some are harmful. Neither IMDS nor GADSL lists are exhaustive. If a CAS number doesn't appear on the GADSL, does not mean it is not declarable prohibited as GADSL is just the category or the reference list. The GADSL is updated once a year. IMDS updated based on a user request to the service center. Check thoroughly prior to requesting the help desk to add a CAS number. Website address given on the screen. Not every substance with a CAS number considered as basic substance in IMDS terms. Alloys or groups also have CAS number but are not basic substance. IMDS substance list is a validated list and developed over the years at a cost. Hence not available for download and prohibit the use of the list in third-party software if not agreed upon with IMDS. Process flow chart for searching basic substances is shown on the screen. Process flow chart does not need an explanation. Search using cast number. If not in system, send an email to the IMDS Service Center for addition. Being a European system, follows European spellings, for example, aluminium versus aluminum, sulfur versus sulfur, etc. Wildcards, partial names, etc. are useful. Basic duromer, basic elastomer, basic oil, thermoplastic elastomer. Pseudo-substances. Substances already in system, with cast no, as pseudo-substances and those represent alloys or groups will not be added. A pseudo-substance has a dash in the cast number field. Pseudo-substances can be 100% of a material. But if a material made of 100% of a substance, means it's a basic substance, and if is the case, not to enter into IMDS. Not possible to search complete list. Better to enter some information in the name field to search type of pseudo-substance. Few example given on the screen. May use jokers wildcards in your structure if both the following conditions are met. Substance being replaced is not declarable or prohibited. Total of all undeclared substances is a maximum 10% except where exemption is given in a recommendation. Jokers wildcards have cast number system and there are only 9 of them in IMDS. Find and add first substance to MDS. Enter the name or a shortened version of name or the cast number and click on search. Sometimes more filters fill in, the more has to match and search may be unsuccessful. Scroll down the list until find the basic substance and then click apply. If don't find your substance and have the cast number, use the basic substance request in menu functions to request for addition. Now add the portion. If go outside the recommendation 001 ranges, will get a warning. This is a warning and not an error. IMDS will allow to send with warning but customer may not accept. Can not go down the tree any further below basic substance. Click on the top of the tree, this example demo material A to add another substance. Not allowed to add materials and substances at the same level. Once add a substance, the other material at this level must be substances. Add material button is no longer available. Add second substance. Add second substance, in this example it is lead. For lead, this example, using a range of 3 to 5%. IMDS system used different color code for substances identification. If the name of the substance is blue, the substance is D, duty to declare, on the GATSL list. If the name of the substance is red, the substance is P, prohibited, or DP on the GATSL list. If the name of the substance is underlined, the substance is on the REACH SBHC list, means substance of very high concern. If none of the above, the substance is not flagged in any way. Marking a substance confidential. Substances cannot be marked confidential if 1. They are D, P, or DP. 2. Require an application code. 3. They are a joker wildcard. If a substance marked as confidential, only the following can see. 1. Users in the MDS creating company with access to confidential substances. 2. Users in another IMDS company given specific access via administration. Periodically save your work. Needless to mention, after completion of tree, do not forget to save. Perform a quick error check. Before proceeding further, click on the error check icon in the toolbar, as shown on the screen. After check, we have certain warning and errors. The warning yellow triangle is because materials of classification 4.2 must contain a minimum portion of special metals. The first error red hexagon is because all percent do not sum to 100. The second error is because no portion has been specified for sulfur. The last error is because no contact person has been assigned. Highlight the problem and double-click on it to go directly to where the problem is to solve it. Resolving the errors. Continuing the example taken, sulfur has been given a percent of 15%. Iron has been added and selected as rest. After saving the MDS, the system fills in the rest percentage, as per example is equal to 54.5% iron. Double-clicking contact person error, The system directs to the supplier data, allowing to specify the contact person. If your company uses organization units, need to file this MDS there. Can see this field only if company uses organization units and assigned to creator's profile. Select the contact person and the other information will be filled in automatically. Process chemical verification flag. Only substances existing in the final product to be added in the tree structure as per REACH regulations. When a substance considered a processing chemical, liquid or gas added to the tree, a warning appears. In order to release the MDS, we'll have to indicate how that chemical remains in the final product. Is it intended use? Or its reaction residue? Or due to impurity? MDS cannot be released until this information is entered. Make MDS productive. Click in Recipient Data on Release Internal. The same check done again. Remember, shown aside is an example. Now can continue with click on Release Internal. The IMDS system allows to release and send with warnings, but note it does not mean customer will accept. The send and propose buttons are not active. Can not send or propose MDS until a recipient added. Status changes. Users with company administrator profile or user publish are able to publish the MDS provided. 1. Company is allowed to publish MDS types. Check under administration and company. 2. User is allowed to publish material MDSs verified under settings by the company administrator. Note changes in status and version number. Though release internal button not active, still can send or propose. It will be active once user adds recipient. Publish MDS or release internally. If version number is a decimal, ingredients and supplier data can be changed provided it has been sent to a customer and in handshake mode. If a whole number, no changes can be made on these pages, however it can be proposed to a recipient. OEMs or most suppliers will not accept published data. For that reason, the Publish button has been deactivated in Release 7.0 except for special circumstances. Highly recommended to not publish the MDS. Publishing allows anyone with IMDS ID to see the MDS. Internally releasing allows only those in your IMDS company to use the MDS. If want your customer to see, then use send or propose after adding a recipient. However, if supplying a standard component to many customers, then publishing is acceptable. Warning: using published MDSs, as anyone can publish, it is recommended not to use published MDSs unless they were published by your supplier or the IMDS committee or the manufacturer of the material. No one is responsible for checking the quality of published MDSs. Warning: company's name and contact information is on the datasheet. In case of any problem or question in the future, creator will have to answer and may be a legal concern. Hence, do not make or release MDS if you are not a manufacturer. Create a module MDS for special materials. IMDS system guides in creating the symbol for below 4 special classifications. 5.1.A Filled thermoplastic. 5.1.B Unfilled thermoplastic. 5.2 Thermoplastic elastomer. 5.3 Elastomers elastomeric compounds. For all these 4, process is same for creating the symbol by using a wizard. First, select basic polymer from the pull down. Next, select the category based on ISO 10432. You cannot make up your own. While making selections, the symbol is being composed. Add the substances for creating special materials MDS. As seen earlier, material is being given a basic name which can be edited if required or desired. All other information to be filled same as before. Symbol as created earlier but with an edit button. Since this is according to ISO 1043, need to enter it. Finish as seen before and run the check. This example, to jokers and wildcards used. The plasticizer 3 to 5% with a weighted mean of 4%. And the flame retardant as rest or 6%. After check, we have a warning. Why the 10% warning? In this example, Joker plasticizer is from 3 to 5%, means weighted average 4%. Joker flame retardant is rest, means 6%. But even though the plasticizer weighted average of 4%, it could be as much as 5% in the material. So in fact, The total of unknown is 5% plus 6% equals 11%, which fails the recommendation 001 of 10% rule check. Creating a module or MDS for polymer materials. Recyclate information entered directly at the material level, only for polymer materials under 5.x classification. For all other classifications, recyclate information is entered at component level. Procedure for recyclate entry, same for all polymer classifications. Hence, continue same example taken for special materials. The recyclate information section at material level activated only for polymers. Needs to answer question on inclusion of recyclate material either yes or no. Not answering will lead to an error. When answer yes, have to enter values for both types of recyclate, that is, pre-consumer and post-consumer recyclate, refer ISO 14021. The allowed maximum is 20%, exceeding this leads to an error. Though IMDS is a common system for data, each OEM and many Tier 1 have own acceptance criteria regarding tree structure, amount of miscellaneous material allowed, what should be on the company data screen, and what has to be declared. Hence, in case of any question, confusion, clarification need arises, better to ask customer what is required or expected. Friends, many thanks for sparing your valuable time and watching this video. Any comment or suggestion for improvement is appreciated. Thanks once again and see you all soon.